So good morning, everyone. We'll start. Sorry, just share. Thank you for attending again another webinar made by Seidor One Middle East. Today's session will be on the Clarity solution made by Seidor Africa, our colleagues in South Africa. We have with us Kevin from Clarity, from Seidor Clarity, okay, who will be presenting the solution later on. For the time being, everybody is muted. Later on, once we finalize everything, just we finalize the demo, we will unmute everyone, and whenever you have a question, you can ask it. And if you want to use the chat to ask some question, okay, please feel free to do it as well. The session will be around 30 to 45 minutes maximum. Okay, and we will leave like 10 minutes later on for the question. And if you need later on some more details about the solution, your TAM team, who's as well with us, all the TAM team from Seidor, okay, will be coordinating with you to take care of all your question. And if you need another extensive demo, we will be glad to offer as well this. The session will be recorded. Later on, we will send it to all the attendees, and it will be available later on on our YouTube and YouTube channel. Okay, same as all the webinars that we had in the past. We'll inform you as well later on about our next webinar. We'll be scheduling after 2 months. Okay, hopefully if everything was fine. So Kevin will keep it for you and start introducing yourself and start sharing your screen and start with the presentation. We cannot hear you, you're muted.
There we go, thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everybody, and thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate it. I'm going to share my screen now and get straight into it. There's a lot to cover today, but as you'll see, it's really exciting, and you'll really enjoy what it is that we have to offer. So I'm going to turn my camera off, and let's have a quick look at what it is that we're going to be having a closer look at today. So in terms of the agenda, I'm going to give you a little bit of an introduction to Clarity by Seidor. My name is Kevin Batenbach. I'm based down in South Africa. I'm part of
Can you just raise your voice a little bit, please?
Yeah, sure. Is that better? Is that better? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. All right, so let me just repeat that. My name is Kevin Batenbach. I'm based down in South Africa. I work for a division of Seidor called Seidor Analytics, and we're going to be presenting Clarity by Seidor, which is a solution that Tony has been speaking to you about in the past. So in terms of the agenda, a little introduction to Clarity by Seidor. I'll present a demonstration on Clarity itself. I'll take you through a self-service analytics and reporting demonstration, and then show you how this solution integrates with Teams and PowerPoint, after which we'll have a Q&A session. Right, so just a very quick overview and introduction of Clarity. Clarity is a product written using Microsoft Power BI over the past 5 years, and thousands of man hours have gone into configuring this solution specifically for SAP Business One. So whether it's a SQL or a HANA solution that you have, we've got all of the tables and the fields configured to be able to produce exceptional reporting and analytics for your business. And you'll see as I go through the demonstration what I mean by that. So there are 3 versions available in the Clarity suite of products to allow for different sizes of business and different requirements. We have an SME for small, medium-sized enterprises, consisting of a series of reports. We've got a professional version, which contains all the reports in SME, plus a series of additional reporting and analytics there. And then we have an enterprise solution, primarily for the larger companies or for companies that have more than one business and they would like to report from a consolidated perspective on all of their businesses together. And so that you know, all of these solutions over here are all upgradable, so you can grow with your business effectively. So if you have an SME with one database and at a later stage you add an additional company, it's very easy to add an additional database or extra registered users. Also, if you've got the SME version, but there's a few pages in professional or enterprise that you require, you can purchase those pages one at a time. So it allows for a really smooth organic growth of your business based on your specific requirements. And then lastly, I'd just like to mention down below, you can see over here, we have a proficient team of developers who will be able to write bespoke reports for you. So if any of the reports that are contained in Clarity are not sufficient for your business, or if you have really specific requirements, we'll be able to write those reports and customize them to your specific requirements. Clarity by Seidor also comes along with a number of very valuable and powerful add-on modules. The first of which over here, let's just turn this into a pointer so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so dynamic access control. This is very important. If you have a team of users that are using Clarity, and some of the users are allowed to see the finance pages and some only the sales pages and so on. This allows for very specific page and row level security control so that you can allocate which users get to see which pages or which companies or which branches right down to that level of row that you can have a look at over there. So that's the dynamic access control. Email subscriptions allows for the automated or automation of emailed versions in PDF format of any of the pages contained within Clarity. The recipients of these emails do not need to be registered Clarity users. So you can set up recipients outside of your business or people that you require that do not necessarily need to be registered users of Clarity. Then we have a branded portal for clients who are very focused on their brand and their corporate image. You'll be able to brand the Clarity suite with your own logos, colors, and have a custom URL specifically that includes your company's name as well. We have a solution for those of you who would like to also write your own reports and add value to the reports that Clarity already gets there. And effectively, and I'm going to take you through this, but it's really, really powerful because we give you access to all of the measures that are there to manage the different data sets contained within your SAP Business One or other environments that you bring in. And you'll see what I mean when I show you how powerful that is and how easy it is to create your own reports. We also have a mobile application. There are certain pages in Clarity that have been specifically configured for portrait view on a mobile phone or a mobile device. And also all pages are viewable simply by turning your phone to the side and viewing it in landscape view as well. And then lastly, in the add-on modules, there's a big data module. So this is for clients that have large volumes of data, hundreds of millions of rows, that require specific aggregation and optimization. And we do allow for that to ensure for the correct condensation of the data that you can view it very quickly. And then lastly, I'd just like to mention over here, we have something which we refer to as the hybrid model, which gives you the best of both worlds effectively. We will host the solution in our own capacity. I'll explain how that works in a short while. And the hybrid model allows you to create reports in your own environment and to be able to view those same reports alongside the reports that are already existing inside of Clarity. Let's move along from there and give you a summary data flow just to show you how it works. And this is from a very high level. So you have your SAP Business One, whether it's HANA or SQL, no difference at all in terms of what it is that we're able to provide you with. Whether it's based in the cloud or on-premise, no problem at all. So that data is there. It's captured by all the users of SAP Business One or capturing during the course of the day. And overnight, that data is refreshed and brought into a secure Microsoft Azure cloud. And those reports are then accessible through your mobile devices or your applications that you've embedded the reports into. And once again, I'll take you through some of that a little bit later. If you do have data contained in third-party applications, so if you have your budgets in Excel, for example, or if you have other operational applications for sales or projects, that data can also be brought in alongside the data of SAP and integrated into these reports and you can report on both sets of data or multiple sets of data all at the same time, which is very, very powerful. Right, so that's the introduction, and I'm going to go across now and open up Clarity itself so we can have a look to see what it is that Clarity consists of. Right, so once you've registered and you've got your username, your login, and this is the opening homepage that will greet you. A little introduction to it on the right-hand side at the top here, some quick navigation bars to take you to certain areas within the Clarity suite of reports. Some help and support will take you to our YouTube channel, some help and definitions, contact support address, and so on. Very importantly, on the left-hand side over here, you've got the last refresh date. So this will tell you when last the data was refreshed. Now, as a standard, the data gets refreshed overnight. That will be at a time that has been coordinated with your IT department to ensure that it doesn't interfere with any of the services that are running in the background, backups and so on, and that data will get refreshed. Now, some companies don't require more, or they do require more than one refresh a day. That is also quite possible. We can set it up for multiple refreshes per day if so required, or during high density or high volume periods, like at month end, and the finance department would like to have more regular refreshes on an ad hoc basis, they're welcome to send an email through to support at Seidor Analytics, and we will manually refresh that data for you. And then this over here will just tell you when your latest financial period is. Right, so very similar to Excel, down below you'll see there's a series of tabs. And I'm going to click on a tab. And inside the tab, you'll see it contains a series of what we call visuals. And these visuals represent the data that is contained inside of your SAP Business One database. Now, very important to understand that the data that is represented here is a one-to-one relationship with the data that is contained within SAP. There's no data warehousing, there's no middleware that is going to be interfering with the data. So everything that you view here is what we refer to as a single source of the truth. So the data that is in here will reconcile back with the data that you have within SAP. Now you get various types of pages, overview pages and detailed pages. This that you're looking at now is a sales overview page. So it's a very quick high-level overview of what's happening in your sales in your company at this moment. So you've got a few years of history for sales, for gross profit, and for margin. Down below, it'll give you a comparative of your current year to your prior year, year to date. And you'll see if it's in red, it'll mean that there's been a deficit. If it's in green, it'll mean that there's been a surplus over there. And that's standard throughout Clarity. And you've got some other information here, rolling 24-month sales with margin line. On the top right-hand side, this visual, this map over here, plots the sales, in this case, per city. You can do it more details. It's based on your business partner locations. And while I'm on this, let me bring your attention to these little icons at the top here. You'll see there's a series of icons. They have different functions. I'm going to click on the focus mode. If I click on that, any of the visuals that are in the page that you would like to expand and have a closer look at, you can, and in this particular instance, as you can see, you can roll right down if necessary. If I hover over that bubble, you'll see it brings up what we call a tooltip. It'll tell me the city, the sales amount, and it'll allow me to drill through from here into details of the amounts that are made up for that particular city over there. I'm going to go back to the report and click on the next tab down below here. So this is a customer overview tab, right? So it's presenting all of your customers. It's got your top 10 customers by sales, by GP, by margin. And down below is a full list of all of your customers over here. On the right-hand side, this is a very informative schematic over here. So what it's telling you is the number of transactions versus the sales amount. And the reason I'm focusing on this is we use this commonly throughout Clarity. You'll see that the color of the bubble is representative of the margin. Now we will, if through the deployment process, we will sit with you, understand what your median margin is, what your desired margin is, and what is bad. We'll insert that. So it will show which of your clients are within the margins that you require and which are lower. Okay, so the green represents good margin. There we go. And anything that is orange or red, you can see the margin in this case is down to 18%. Okay, so that I brought to your attention because that gets used quite commonly throughout Clarity itself. Right, from here, you want to understand that the data that you have all of this data. You've got SAP Business One, an incredibly powerful ERP system, and you've got all this data. And what we need to do is give that data context, and we need to be able to explore that data. So if I'm having a look at this visual here, it is not simply a report. If I have a look at a list of all my clients, I've got Parker Industries over there. If I right click and say drill through, I've got a whole lot of options of areas that I can go and view that detail and how it's made up. I'm going to click on customer details here, and it's going to take me to the customer details for Parker Industries. That's the client I selected. Now, all of the data inside of these visuals is for that client only. And on the left-hand side, it's a sales amount. There's a rolling 24 months of sales over here. You've got your sales amount by GP year to date and your sales by item group. And then on the right-hand side, you can go to sales right down to a daily level. Okay. Let's just show you a little bit about the interactivity between the reports. So I've got my item groups over here. If I select an item group, I click on it, you'll see it interacts with the other visuals over there. Okay. So it tells me now that out of the sales, for example, for April, the highlighted value is 199,000 out of a total of 589. And you can see that the visuals, as I move along, will change according to what I've selected. And once again, you've got all the drill through ability over here to see more detail. Right, moving across from there, we can have a look at, so that's we're going from customers. Let's have a look at a bit of product analysis over here. So this is a product analysis by value rather than by quantity. While we're on this page, I can bring your attention to these date slices over here. So you've got your history in years, and you've got your months over here. There's no limit to the amount of history that you can bring in to Clarity and report on it. So as long as you have the history contained in SAP, or if you have a database of history that is not contained in SAP Business One that you would like to bring in and include, that can also be done for you so that you can then report back and have comparatives of prior years as well. But there's no restriction in terms of how far back you can go. Right, so that's product analysis by value. You have a product analysis by volume as well. So for those of you who do buy and sell products and you have various units of measure, you'll be able to select the units of measure and have a look at the sales based on your volume rather than the value as well. Going across from there, I'm going to move into sales rep environment. We have a series of very powerful sales rep environments, but this I want to show you because it gives you an idea of how powerful it is to have multiple visuals, which gives you multiple series of information based on the context within which you are looking at it. So let's see what we've got. We've got a rolling 24 months at the top here. Down below, we've got a list of all of our sales reps with the sales amount, GP, and margin. Here we've got your customer with the same columns, and we've got the item group. All right, so if I'm the sales manager and I'm sitting with any of my reps, if I select a particular rep, let's select Cleo over here, it will immediately now tell me which clients are being serviced by Cleo and which products and product groups are being sold to those clients by that rep. Or, now this is where it becomes powerful. So I've looked at it from that perspective. If I want to, I can now go and select a particular customer. Click on the customer, it will now tell me which reps are servicing that customer and which products and product groups are being sold to that customer by that rep. And then lastly, and this is what makes it so powerful, I can select a product and it will tell me which customers are purchasing that product and which sales reps are selling them to those particular customers. So as you can see, although it's on one page over here, it has a few visuals. When you start having a look and playing with the data, you get the context of the multiple reports effectively that are available within this one page of reporting that you've got over there. Right, so that's some sales rep information. For those of you who are using cost centers are an incredibly powerful way of helping you to manage your business down to a level that allows you to manage at the departmental or the cost center level. We've got specific cost center reports, such as this one. In this particular case, we've got our cost center set up as regions. And over here, it's going to give you your sales per cost center or per region. All right. This can be, obviously, this will be changed based on your specific cost centers if you're using it for departments or vehicles or whatever the case may be. This will bring that master file information into here directly from your SAP database. Right, so that's from that perspective. I'm going to move across down below here to some sales and collections analysis. Very important. We know that turnover is important. We know that profit is important. But at the end of the day, it's cash that means everything. So this is going to help you to manage that. And we've got a series of reports and analytics that pulls the data from SAP Business One and helps you now to analyze what it is that's happening with your customers and the payment terms. So you've got your payment terms over here. It will tell you the days taken to pay on average for those payment terms, the collection amounts, percentage, sales amount percentage, and so on. But very importantly, down below, it's going to give you a graph. This graph is a little bit misleading, I guess, in this particular instance, because it's showing that all collections were always higher every month than your sales. The sales is in blue, the collections is in orange. So effectively, those would go up and down like that. But it's a very, very quick way of having a look to see what is happening with regards to your cash flow coming in compared to your sales that are going out. So this is a very, very powerful report and very useful in terms of helping you to manage your cash flow. And we've got all the series of age analyses and detailed age analyses that you can look at for customers and suppliers as well. I'm going to move across from there and let's start having a look at your stock, all right, because this is very important. So this over here is representative of your stock holding, okay? So at the top over here, the cost, these red bars, that'll represent the stock holding at the end of each month. So you see I'm highlighting over there, the tooltip tells me is 1.14 billion sitting in stock. Down below over here in this visual, you'll see how it is made up by product group. Here's your 1.14 billion, sorry. And under laptops, you can go in and see down to a item level, what it is that your stock holding is, and also in which warehouse those items are, both in closing value, there's the 1.14, and in closing units. So how many, what quantity of items that you've got. And then you can also have a very quick look in terms of your item groups and items, the average number of days that it takes to sell. So stock holding is obviously very, very important because of it absorbs so much capital. So you want to optimize your stock holding, make sure that you've got enough stock to be able to provide for the orders that are going to come in, but you don't want to hold too much because it's going to then hold up a lot of your capital. This is probably my favorite in terms of reporting from a stock perspective, because this is where you start managing the aging of your stock. You have a look at it and you can see what you've got in stock. Now, I've purposefully created it so that we've got a lot of stock sitting in 180 days. Now, depending on your business type, there are some businesses who do hold stock for many, many days, but let's just say that 180 days, 6 months is a bit long for you. When I click on that, you can see, let me take it off. I'm going to click on it again. All right, it immediately tells me now all of my stock that is sitting in 180 days. These are the groups. I can go down and take that down to a stock individual level just by clicking on the drill down arrow. I can go back up to groups again. And in this example, it tells me where the stock is located based on my cost centers. Or if I'm using warehousing, I can see where exactly which stock is sitting in 180 days is sitting in which warehouse. And then from here, I can actually drill through and go to document details. And this is where it brings it all the way through to the actual details of the transactions, the document date, name, transaction number, supplier, item group, and so on, stock in, stock out, average unit prices, tells me everything about the stock that is currently sitting inside of 180 days in that particular warehouse. So now I can do something practical and take practical business action in terms of what do I do with those stocks, make a decision, mark them down, sell them, whatever the case is. Right, so that's on stock holding. This I'm going to show you as well. This is a batch expiry page. So if I have a look at it, so for those of you who do work with, I'm going to move this to months, with perishable items or serial numbers. So when you manage your stock in batches or in serials, over here you can have a look to see which items are expiring. Now, it's a simple report, but very, very powerful. So I can ask it, show me which items have expired in the last X amount of months. Or more importantly, once you've got that cleaned up, you start planning ahead and you start telling me, asking it which items are about to expire in the next 2 months or 2 weeks or 1 week. You can go and change the amount here, whatever the case is. Okay, and this is where it is meaningful to you from a practical perspective in telling you what it is that you're able to manage. So you can see very, very powerful operational reports, VAT reports, and so on that you can get out of Clarity simply by logging in, and it will take the data from your SAP Business One file. I'm going to move down here. I'm just going to change reports quickly. So I'm going to go, you wouldn't have to do this. This is purely for demonstration purposes, but I'm going to go into my financial file just to show you some of the financial reports. Once again, very similar to what I've shown you already. You have an overview page. So this is an overview of your finances. EBITDA, that could be net profit after tax or net profit before tax, and so on. You've got various iterations of your profit and loss report. This is a year-to-date comparative to your budget. So you can have multiple budgets if you do require. So some companies have 2 or 3 budget scenarios, and you can bring those budgets in. Those budgets can help either directly in SAP or in Excel, and as long as they map to your chart of accounts, we'll be able to report and compare from one budget to the other. I'd like to bring your attention to this filters bar over here. Yeah, you can go and change company if you have multiple companies, and you can go and change cost center if you have multiple cost centers. The chart of accounts, that this layout that you're seeing over here, is directly representative of your chart of accounts. So if I open that up, you'll see it'll start going down now into the various levels. So if I click on sales, you can see it's just opening the hierarchy of your chart of accounts down to the transaction level account that you'd like to look at. So this is actual year-to-date versus budget. You've got actual versus prior year with variance and variance percentages. We've got monthly profit and loss reports. We've got specific profit and loss reports by cost center. So you've got your branch here, actual budget. You can budget by cost center as well in SAP. So we can report on that really nicely. We've got different iterations of the balance sheet as well. So if we have a look at the balance sheet over here, so it's going to give you your normal balance sheet, assets, liabilities, capital and reserves, and so on. And then some really key indicators and ratios that are very, very important. And on all of these ratios, your liquidity ratios over here compares your current year versus prior year. This is effectively where you learn a bit about the financial personality of the business. And we do have a help button over here. When you click on it, it will take you to the help file, which will show you the purpose and the method that was used for each of those ratios, giving a bit of an example of high, low risk, and so on. And obviously that's dependent on the kind of business that you're in. We have a cash flow statement. Once again, once this has been mapped, the fantastic thing about this is that once these reports have been set up and the last enter button has been pressed for the month, these reports are ready. Once that data is refreshed, there's no further setup that is required. So there's no exporting of data or anything like that. These reports that you view here, once the data is refreshed after you've completed your month end, all of these reports are ready for you. And we have various other advanced finance reports, such as statement of source and use of funds, and so on. Now, for those of you who have companies that have multiple businesses and you would require consolidated reporting, we do facilitate that. All right, so we do not provide the functionality of the consolidation. So in other words, all of the accounting entries would happen inside of your business by your accounting team, your financial team. But what we would do is we'd request the setup of a UDF to identify all of the intercompany accounts. We'll present you with a consolidation net off trial balance. So you've got your company 1, 2, 3, 4, all the intercompany accounts, and with the exchange rates and so forth, you will have all of these that are going to then be journalized and balanced. Once that is done, we can provide all of those same reports that I showed you from a financial perspective in a consolidated format where all of the intercompany accounts have been netted off and extracted from this data. So the profit and loss reports, balance sheet, and your cash flow statements and so on will be presented to you on a consolidated basis. Right, so that's a little bit of an overview, or quite a quick overview of Clarity itself. What I want to do now is I'm going to move into Power BI desktop. Okay, so what I was showing you here is Clarity, and this is in the service. You can see there's a URL over here. If I go into this, this is Power BI desktop. Okay, so this here that I want to explain to you is the self-service module. So we have a module that gives you access to all of our really powerful measures or formulas. You can see self-service, and there's a series of formulas that have been put in here. Now, what this does is it allows you to make use of these with your data, and you can very easily go in and create your own reports. So it's very drag and drop. So let's have a look and see how it is that we can set something up to you. So I'm going to take my sales amount year to date, and I'm just going to drop it in there. Right, I'm going to change this to a matrix. So let's do that. Then I'm going to take my prior year data, and I'm going to drop that in there as well, and a variance, and I'm going to drop that in there as, whoopsie, I missed. Let's try that again. I'm going to take that and drop that in there as well. Okay, and you can see it's just busy getting itself sorted out. It's looking for the data, and there it presents it. Now, we've got year to date and so on, but what we need to do is provide it with a little bit of context. So let's go and say that we would like to have a look at this, perhaps by our customers. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to take my customer description, and I'm going to pop that into the rows. So now it's taken those sales values, year to date, prior year, and the variance, and allocated to all of my customers. Okay, so that you can see how quick and easy it is to do that. I can give you a couple of more examples. So if I bring the sales amount over here and explain what I mean a little bit more about context. So I'm going to bring sales amount in 3 times over here, just so that we can show you a little bit about the context within which you can bring it. So over here, we've got a sales amount of 697 million. Okay, it's pretty much meaningless because we don't have context of that particular data. But I can go in and bring that down now and actually apply some context to that. So I can bring in here, I can bring perhaps the item hierarchy, and you can see immediately it brings the item groups with all of the items and the sales values on there. And I can add labels and so forth as well. Down below over here, I've got the sales amount as well. And in this particular instance, I'd like to perhaps look at that by my customers. So I'll go down here, and I would just choose, let's choose here customer country, and I'm going to drop it in there, and I can then go in and choose a different type of visual to represent that data. All right, and likewise, I can do this over here. I can go down to cost centers, perhaps bring my cost centers in, and I can then go in and change that. Oopsie, let's go over here and change that to a visual that's going to make more sense for you. So the key here, and you can bring in date slices and so on. The key here is that you've got access to all of these powerful measures that have been set up and configured to your data on your database. And you can see how easy it is to start creating your own reports over there. What you can also do quite easily is, so that's analyze it in Power BI. What you can also do is you can open Excel, and you can bring in your data directly from Power BI. So if you give it a second or two, you'll see what it's going to do. It's just going to go and have a look to see for the business Power BI data that I have available. I'm going to select my demo data over here. And basically what it's going to do, and I'm sure a lot of you are very used to working with pivot tables in Excel, it's going to bring all of those measures and all of those formulas directly from that data into Excel for you. Okay, so here we go. So we've got the pivot tables over here. If I click on self-service, it opens all of that out over here for you. So I can then drag the sales amount down into here, give it a little while to think, and you can see in the top left-hand side, it's brought that in over there. I can then go in and do the exact same thing that I did using Clarity and go and have a look at my business partners, and let's do that just to show you how it works over there. So I bring it in by rows, and you see I've got my sales by customer over here. And the nice thing about this is once you've got it set up, you don't have to export this data every month or anything like that. If I go to data, I can refresh this data set and it will then update it for me really nicely. Right, so that's a little bit on the self-service module. I'm going to open up Teams now and just show you a little bit about how this can integrate with Teams. Okay, so you can see this is my Teams. I've got all my chats and everything over here. All I've done is I've gone down to apps, and I'm going to click on this ellipsis over here, and I'm going to select Power BI. All right, so if you just give it a second, it's just going to go and have a look to see at the data that I have available. And this is embedding your reports inside Teams. Okay, so you can see it's already knew that I was working on this particular file. Otherwise, it would have asked me to choose it. But I've got that exact same file now, but I'm inside Teams. So I haven't had to go out and log in through my URL. I'm actually viewing this inside of Teams, and I can go in and it's fully interactive. So I can go and do all of the normal filtering and so on, and have a look at this without leaving Teams and without leaving my environment, which is really useful. A lot of clients find this incredibly time saving, so that they've only got one application open through Teams. They don't have to go to a different application for Power BI itself. Now, what I can also do over here that is really fantastic is I can share this information in a number of ways. But one of the ways that I'd like to show you now, I'm just going to put my, if you just excuse me, I'm just going to put my email address in there. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say, take this information and embed it in PowerPoint. Okay, so I'm going to click on PowerPoint over here. I'm going to ask it to open PowerPoint. We'll do that now. So it's just going to go open it at the top of my presentation over there, and give it a second or two for it to clear its head, and the data will then be there. Give it a second. There we go. Loading data. All right. Okay, so you can see I'm in Microsoft Power BI now, and this report is sitting inside of Power BI. But it's not just sitting inside of Power BI as a static report. Okay, so if I click on here, you can see I've got the interactivity exactly as it was inside of Power BI. Now, where financial teams specifically find this useful is they create the PowerPoint presentation for the board, and they add all of their pages. And once they've set that up for the month, they don't have to do it again the next month and the month after and so on, because it allows you to refresh this data inside of Power BI, PowerPoint. You can see if I click over there, I can say refresh data, and it will then refresh this and update all of the data on all of these reports. So once you've got your PowerPoint presentation set up for all of your clients, for all of your board members or your reporting tasks that you require, all you have to do at the end of each month is refresh it, and then obviously update any note pages that you may or may not have that are available from there. Right, so that is a very quick overview of Clarity itself. And I think what I'd like to do now is open up for some questions and answers, Tony.
Yeah, thanks, Karen. Thanks for the presentation. Okay, guys, I will allow now the microphone. So if you have any question, please raise your hand, and I will unmute you, or you just change this, things. Now you can unmute yourself if you want. Okay, if you have any question, or if you want to ask Karen or myself any particular question, okay, please do.
Tony, hi.
Yes. Hi.
Tony, it is very interesting portal or a solution. I just want to ask how difficult it is to integrate and implement. Is it straightforward, or it really needs much efforts to integrate this with SAP Business One?
If you have, just let me answer this question on behalf of Kevin, because
Thanks,
we've
Tony.
done what we've done couple of implementation now for our customers, some small and big customers.
Yes.
If it is a standard one, if it's standard one, and you need to do it to have the same report that Kevin has showed you, especially for SMEs or even for professional. With the standard package, it doesn't take more than, I think, 5 to 10 days, okay, to implement it, okay? But for when you go to customization with additional fields, additional reporting, okay, this takes more time, okay, for the implementation. Especially the only thing that takes time usually is the consolidation, because we need to take a requirement. There is that some data has to be filled in business one, okay, to cater, you know, the elimination and this kind of stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And for our case, we have more than 14 databases for different entities in different countries, different localizations, and different system currencies and local currencies. Will this be allowed for this, or it will not
Yeah,
be
no
accommodated?
problem. No problem. We have the same case, but we have it, of course, we have it for smaller scale. We have a customer who has 14 database, actually 17 database, but it is in 2 countries, but it is the same. So we implemented this for him. The name of the customer is Ghazawi.
Yes.
So we implemented this for him this year. Okay, and they are live already.
And cost-wise, Tony, is it subscription or is it
Yeah,
license,
so
or we buy it for one time, or what is it exactly?
it is
Commercial.
SaaS model. SaaS model. Okay, so it is subscription.
Mm.
You can have it quarterly, you can have it yearly. It depends how many users. Okay, for the prices we can discuss it. You can discuss it with the team later on.
Sure. But we can select a number of users, not necessarily the same number of users who are using SAP already.
No, it doesn't matter about the user. It's not the same as SAP. You can have, for example, for SME, the minimum is 3, but for the professional and enterprise edition, the minimum is 5. But you can add whenever you want, and you can have it. Okay.
Okay, clear. Thank you very much.
Welcome. So we have some question as well in the chat. For the time and period, as mentioned, Riyad, it depends on what do you want to implement. If it is the standard, it will take 5 to 10 days maximum. If it is more complicated and you need more reports, yes, it will take more time, okay, to implement. For the training, yes, we will give you the training to develop your own report, how you can do it, how you can customize the report. Okay, and it will make it more interesting if you have Power BI license with, for example, yourself with Microsoft Tier 5. Okay, I think, right, Kevin?
That's correct, Tony. Yes.
So you can benefit as well from all these tools where you can customize, you can have your own Power BI portal, okay, from SAP, from Microsoft. I think it will be for free. Okay, and the cost will reduce for you instead of purchasing another set of users. Raj, for the cost, it depends as well on which type of model you want. Okay, we can share the price later on, but standard pricing, yearly pricing, subscription. Okay, we can share it with you later on. If you want, you can coordinate with our team for that. Okay, because we need some details to be filled in to have exactly the prices that you want. For example, you want to go with the standard edition, you want to go with the advanced edition. So this is where this is the information that we need before giving any subscription price. Okay. Any other question?
Yes, Tony.
Yeah.
مرحبا.
Hi, Sam.
I just want to talk to Kevin regarding the consolidation. I I have heard you regarding the consolidation that you just need detail about the account that it will be eliminated. So the consolidation will be inside Clarity, not in SAP, or it will be in SAP or in Clarity. Can you clarify this, please?
Yes, with pleasure. And that's a good question. So all of the consolidations are based on the reporting from the data that is contained in SAP. So let me explain how it will work. So should you decide to go ahead with consolidations, what we'll do is we'll ask you or Tony and his team to create a UDF, a user-defined field inside of SAP that will be allocated to your chart of accounts. It will be called intercompany. It will all be set to no. And then your finance team will go in and change the no to a yes on all of the accounts which are intercompany accounts. And you'll do the same for your business partners as well. And what we do then is we take that flag, that user-defined field, and we use that to eliminate the intercompany transactions. So all of the consolidations will happen inside of the Clarity reporting module rather than in SAP.
Nice, clear.
Thank you. Yeah, this is something, the consolidation module is something that has been very powerful because, as you know, a consolidation solution application, they do become quite expensive. And what this does, although it doesn't do the consolidation accounting for you in terms of if you process a transaction in one company, it's automatically replicated in the other company. You would still need to do that inside of SAP to ensure that all your accounting is correct and so on. But all of the intercompany net-offs will be available for you to be able to report on through Clarity with all of the eliminated accounts out so that you can report per company in local currency or in system currency or reporting currency, or you can report on all companies together at reporting currency using the exchange rate. And we do also legislate for FCTR, foreign currency translation reserve. And we can use that and process that and post that inside of Clarity as well, so that it takes any deficit or profit that is made on consolidation with the exchange rates.
Sounds good. That's perfect.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your question.
Thank you, Kevin.
Welcome.
Yeah, Kevin?
Yes.
Yeah.
Kevin, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Now, does this support the non-SAP applications? Suppose if we have something bought from outside other than SAP B1, can this Clarity support?
Yes, so because it's written using Microsoft Power BI, there's no real limit in terms of where the data can come from. Okay, so you can bring it in. It's been configured for SAP Business One, so that's the primary use. But we bring information in from many other applications that we integrate into the data. So the answer is yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But just to clarify this point as well, we need somebody who can understand, your database. For example, if you want to connect to another system, okay, we need you, okay, to give us these details in order to do this integration.
All right. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Okay, so I think we're fine. In any case, if you have guys any other question later on, you can coordinate with us, send us email, okay, to answer this question. As I told you at the beginning, we will share the recording again for you, with you to check it out later on. And if you have any question or if you need a particular demo later on, okay, to your company, let us know, please. Okay, so we can arrange it as well. Okay, thank you. Thanks for attending. We will share later on as well with you another webinar that we will be conducting, okay, for one of our product in June. And then you will be notified by email just like this one. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thanks for attending again. And thanks, Kevin, as well.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much, everybody, for your time. We really appreciate it. Have a good day.